It is Friday, April 18th, 4:56 a.m. I've been up since 3 and it took me a while to get going in my session today, but for this session I wrote 43 words. Despite being super tired, I do feel like my words felt more clear, and really because this is the first mentally demanding thing I'm doing all day. So I feel that my thoughts are at least able to function even despite my physical tiredness. And I'm only physically tired because I went to bed pretty late for someone getting up at 3 a.m. I feel that on a normal schedule, in a 2-hour window from waking, I've already gotten up and done so much that my brain can be pretty tired in that span. And waking up at 3 a.m., there is nothing that can get in the way of my writing session. So I feel that even though I am tired, when I sit and write, my thoughts are more fresh. Body is tired, but thoughts are fresh. And I feel like it's not as hard to sit for a small session as my sessions are. What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't take me nearly as long to get into the zone of writing in this 3 to 5-ish window than otherwise. Sometimes I am sitting for like 30 minutes to 45 minutes before a session to gather my thoughts and figure out where I'm headed next. But I'm finding, at least these past 2 days, because I've only started waking up since yesterday, which was Thursday, I'm finding that I'm able to slip into my stream of thoughts much more quickly. This waking up at 3 a.m., however, is not a permanent thing. It's definitely something I would like to do more often and rotate into my creative repertoire, but I am really enjoying it. A main reason why I started this 3 a.m. thing is because I wanted to prolong the feeling of time and make my mornings feel longer, which I will talk more on Sunday when I sit down to give a proper update. But basically, I wanted my mornings to feel longer, and I wanted some more quiet space, which is why I'm doing this 3 a.m. thing. But also, every year or so, I do like to challenge myself with these sleep schedule variations. I've tried different splits of polyphasic sleeping. I have tried sleeping on the floor for some variety in my sleeping schedule. And this is my first time actually trying a 3 a.m. wake up flow. And of the bunch, so far, this may be a little too soon, but so far, this 3 a.m. thing has been my favorite. And again, this is only 2 days. And again, I'm not trying to do this as a permanent thing, but for what it's been so far, I have been really enjoying it. For this session, I wrote 66 words. For this session, I wrote 46 words. I have a lot of new books in my collection that I want to share, but I think I'm going to save that for next week's vlog update, and today focus on talking about my experimentation waking up at 3 a.m. for expanded creativity. I'm congested, not feeling quite 100%, but we shall press on. I've also made some changes with my video uploading. Instead of having 2 main vlogs through the week, I'm doing one main one and then a mini update through a shorts form. Anyways, on to the crux of the discussion for today. Thursday and Friday, I started trialing waking up at 3 a.m. Over the years, I have experimented a lot with various sleep schedules, and at least once a year, I make a return pilgrimage into such experimentation. I've experimented with waking up at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m. with intermittent sleep, also known as polyphasic sleep, and I've also experimented with staying up late until 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. I've experimented with intuitive sleep, going to bed when I feel naturally tired, and then waking up naturally without an alarm. And it was really in my experimentation with intuitive sleep that I started noticing some interesting patterns. For example, I noticed that around 2:30 or 3, I would wake up pretty regularly, either to drink some water because I was bizarrely thirsty at that time, or to go pee. So then I thought, why don't I try waking up at 3 a.m. and starting my day? And I chose 3 a.m. because my husband and we live above a bar and people are usually out till 2:30, but by 3 o'clock it gets quiet. And I wanted to capitalize on the quiet because that is my ideal way of waking up. So Thursday, Friday, I started my experimentation, and one thing I have learned in these kinds of experiments is that you really do want to go slower than jumping in all at once for a week's spree or challenge. Even though 2 days is not at all enough time to adjust to such a routine, it does give a great baseline to start and a foundation to assess where you might need some additional support measures that you can iterate upon such an experiment sooner rather than later after the challenge, when your body is probably extremely fatigued from such an endeavor, because it is very difficult on the body at first. So I sampled the 3 a.m. wake up time Thursday and Friday, and then I took Saturday and today off to sleep in and rest and think about my experience. And of all of the sleep experiments I have tried, I am so far really enjoying this 3 a.m. version the most. There are some tweaks I need to make in my future experimentation, which I plan on integrating, and I am thinking through those solutions before the next round. So when I have more updates on that, I will be sure to share it on this vlog. But I wanted to also talk about the reason why I am interested in this 3 a.m. wake up time. I have been trying to figure out how to make my mornings feel long again. But waking up at 4, 4:30 or 5 hasn't really done that for me, because as soon as the alarm would go off, or those times, I was on the go trying to get myself into planned activities so that I could create this momentum to be awake. And by the time it would be 7 or 8 o'clock, I would be pretty exhausted from all the things I would have to do to get myself up at those times. Then the rest of the day would drag on so miserably, exhaustingly for me that there was no joy at all. And what I realized was that the interventions I required to stay up from waking up at 4 to 5 were too aggressive for me, and I needed a softer approach. I need enough activity to get me going, but not so much that I'm burning myself out in the first few hours of getting up. And I need space enough to take breaks that I'm not feeling as if I'm sprinting through everything first thing in the morning. So 3 a.m. has been that sweet spot for me so far, where I'm not feeling like I have to make haste in waking up, but it does also have its drawbacks, where it is much easier to fall back asleep and forget all sense of discipline in the plan. But for me, the benefits have been exceedingly high that I am actually encouraged to continue to trial this out. Who doesn't dream about being awake and alert at 5 a.m.? I know, not most people, but for those few that do, what I've realized is that there is a difference between waking up at 5 a.m. and being awake by 5 a.m. And those of us who want to be awake by 5 a.m. desire that because we want that opportunity in the morning to have the world to ourselves. If you naturally prefer aggressive mornings and you enjoy an adrenaline rush to get you moving, then you want to condense your morning routine into a smaller time segment. However, if you prefer more gentle mornings like I do, then that is not going to work. For those of us who prefer gentle mornings, we need so much more time to slowly come to our senses and wake up and embrace the morning. And so, though it is, I would say, more psychologically challenging to get up at 3 a.m. and there is a difficulty in staying up, I like the feel of it so much more than trying to get up at 4 or 5 because I can take my time in waking up. I'm not having to chug 2 cups of coffee to get going. I can amble about and take my time because I also know that instead of having maybe a 15-minute window to do something, I have now potentially an hour. And yet I know that even taking my time, it would probably at a maximum take me about 30 minutes to do. So psychologically, it feels as if I have a luxury of time. To combat the difficulty of waking up at 3 a.m., however, obviously I need to apply myself to something. And given that there is a limited amount of things I can do, I wouldn't be working out first thing in the morning because my husband is asleep. I wouldn't go out for a run at that time because it is still dark outside. I would wait for the sun. I wouldn't be vacuuming or cleaning or being loud in the kitchen. The gym doesn't open until 5 a.m., so I wouldn't go to the sauna or go there for a workout. And so I'm left with very few activities that I can do in that window of time. I'll have my breakfast prepared from the night before and the coffee ground up so that I can go straight to boiling the water and making it without having to use the grinder. So then it's really between reading, writing, or being on my phone that I have left as options to fill that window of time. I already have strict limits with my phone, so I'm not really on that much at all in the mornings anyways. Reading, I can't do too much of first thing that early because it is way too easy for me to fall asleep, but writing I can do.
I don't like to force myself to write first thing, but when I wake up at 3 and I don't have any other options but to write, psychologically it doesn't feel like I'm forcing myself then to write. And it's been so nice to get my writing done that early. It feels throughout the day as if I haven't even written at all. So it is a nice change of program without really changing my program in writing every single day. The only drawback I have in this 3 a.m. wake up time that I foresee is that I don't think it's something I could do religiously every single day, because the moment it feels like I'm locking myself into a routine, I think that is gonna make it insufferable. I'm someone who has to constantly trick myself into thinking that I'm not in a routine, because the second I feel like I'm locked into one, it is miserable for me. And this is my secret to consistency. Minimum viable structure and freedom around that is my productivity and creativity formula. For this session, I wrote 52 words.